Thank you very much for staying with us here on the show. It's time for News Flash, and of course that takes you into the dailies and what the direction is when it comes to reportage. We'll begin with the Daily Graphic newspaper, which has a big banner headline. New economy takes model, new economy model takes shape, set for 2027 budget, 1.6 billion up, private sector boost for jobs. Okay, there's also another headline that is focusing on the mining sector. It has a picture of Mr. Kenneth Ashigbe, who is the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines. He says large mines spend over 25.2 billion locally over a decade. Of course, we're going to go slightly into that story. But in this banner headline, the government is set to unveil an ambitious program known as the New Economy to help transition, the country's economy from stability to accelerated development. Now, the new economy, which is being fine-tuned for rollout in the 2027 budget, will utilize about 1.6 billion, approximately 1% of GDP, to develop key pillars of the economy to enable the private sector to leverage on the creation of jobs. Okay, so this is according to the minister. So there is a bit of context in there. There is an economic strategy, and then capital markets plan as well as a general outlook from the IMF. Do remember that Ghana has just been moved out of the IMF program. Of course, we'll be discussing that later on. And there's a picture here of Professor Bob Hinson, the marketing guru in the academia. He's been named as Africa's most influential marketing thinker. Congratulations to him. Now, on the back page of the Daily Graphic, there is the story of Mediama SC being crowned Ghana Premier League champions ahead of time. So, later on in sport, we'll be taking you through that story. After yesterday's round of matches, it was Mediama SC who beat Heart of Lions by 5-2 to seal it off. And of course, this sure is going to draw a lot for the club. Do remember that they got some very good sponsorship from their sponsors, and then got a stadium built for them, and then now the Ghana Premier League title. It can't be any better. So they will be our representatives in the CAF Champions League next season. All right, so there's one from the graphic business as well. Now, the banner headline here says, local content not important. And this is according to Ken Ashigbe, who's the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines. Now, the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, says the country's local content policy framework must move beyond import-based participation towards manufacturing and value addition in the mining sector. Now, he says, although Ghana has made significant progress in local participation in mining services over the years, the next phase of local content development should be focusing on producing mining inputs locally and building industries around the sector. Okay, so this is what he is saying. Now, remember that, a couple of days ago, the former Chief Justice, who is also a member of the Institute of Economic Affairs, made a very bold statement about local content, and she stood for the inclusion of more local content in the mining sector. And this comes as an opposing view to that of the Ghana Chamber of Mines CEO. And the thought over here is that if you want to do local content, then obviously you'd have to, back it with a lot more substance. That's the general overview of it. Okay, the Insight newspaper says U.S.-Ghana Defense Agreement, full text of petition to the Parliament of Ghana. Now, the Socialist Movement of Ghana and the Coalition Against Foreign Military Bases have petitioned the Parliament of Ghana through the Honorable Speaker, demanding the repeal of the 2018 U.S. Defense Cooperation Agreement with Ghana, signed by the then government headed by Donald Trump of the United States of America and Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The petition, copied to the chair of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Defense and Interior, the Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs and the Honorable Minister for Defense, not only demands the repeal of the 2018 agreement, but is also asking for certain key milestones and certain key milestones. He says they also want the removal of all foreign military infrastructure in Ghanaian territory. Of course, that has a lot to do with Ghana's sovereignty and security. We'll be getting into those. Now, the Spokesman newspaper says Ghana cuts IMF umbilical cord. And it talks about Ghana's transition from the current IMF program. Okay. The Publisher newspaper. Okay, so the Publisher newspaper has a good, bold picture of the minority leader in Parliament, Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markin. He says they want to silence the opposition. Okay. The full story is in the inner pages, and over there, the minority leader explains what he means by government wanting to silence the opposition. And of course, we'll give certain key milestones as well and key happenings. So that's what is on the Publisher newspaper. Headmaster speaks. Afoko, my student has integrity. MPP needs him. And of course, as MPP looks forward to realigning and getting themselves ready for the next task ahead in the 2028 elections, the former headmaster of Paul Afoko, the former chairman of the party, has spoken. He says that we have to repose a lot of confidence in this man because I know him and I know what kind of quality he has. Now, NDC foot soldiers spit fire. Arrogant appointees chopping big alone. That sure is a very, very big allegation leveled against appointees of the NDC. And they'd have to come up and, answer for themselves this particular one. All right, let's quickly take a look at the Daily Gist newspaper. And it also has another similar story from the minority leader, Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markin. He says, we won't be gagged, Afenyo-Markin warns, over return of culture of silence. FBI tightens nose around Asante Achim North MP's neck, and that full story is on the third page of the Daily Gist newspaper. RTI Commission slaps Finance Ministry with a 100,000 Ghana cedi fine. Well, that's a very interesting, headline. Details of that story is on page 4. It says the Right to Information Commission has imposed an administrative penalty of 100,000 cedis against the Ministry of Finance for failing to comply with the Right to Information request seeking details of emolument payments made to former government appointees who served between January 1, 2021 and January 7, 2025. The ruling, which marks one of the strongest enforcement action taken under Ghana's RTI Act 2019, followed a review application filed by journalist and editor of the Source newspaper, Wilberforce Asare, after the ministry allegedly failed to respond to repeated requests for the information. More of the details in that story on page 4. Now, Hohoi MCE chases Hohoi MCE chases MPP activists with BNI and CID for filming Akufo-Addo project. Okay, that story is also on page 2 of the newspaper. Now, let me just give you a bit of that story. It says tension is reportedly brewing in Hohoi in the Volta region following allegations that the MCE, Prosper Kumi, is using state security operatives to intimidate and pursue a known activist of the opposition NPP, Rita Mesiwoyocho Bache, raising fresh concerns over political interference and abuse of power under the current administration. All right, so more details of that story in there. Well, this morning, joining me for the conversations here on Newsflash is Abdulai Sakra Alhassan, who is a member of the new National Democratic Congress Communications Committee, representing the government, and also Kweku Dubahin. He is He's the Associate President of Ghana Watch, joining us for the conversations, Associate President of the Ghana Watch Initiative. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. It's good to have you.
Good to have you too.
Yeah, the confidence is not there. The
confidence
is it because of the rain?
The rain is, but the confidence is there.
It is there.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay.
Good morning, Raj.
Everything good?
Cool, man.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
But it looks like the rain has neutralized both of you. I don't know what the problem is.
Not really.
Or your clubs didn't win at the weekend.
I think I'm now happy to join Real Madrid officially because I'm hearing something like Mourinho. So I support Jose Mourinho.
You do?
I just love them.
Okay, what about the conversations about him losing a bit of touch of his youthfulness and the verve and driving the players?
I don't think it's so. It's just a way of those who don't like him are the ones saying that, because if you watch him during this period, moving from Italy, going to Turkey, and coming back to Portugal, if you watch all this, look, Jose Mourinho has never gone for a top-notch club. If you remember, the last time he was in Real Madrid, that time Barcelona was dominating. He came in, Copa del Rey since 1992. They've not won Copa del Rey. He won Copa del Rey for them. If you watch, when he comes back to Tottenham has never touched a trophy. At the last end of him touching the trophy, they sacked him. He went back to Turkey.
And in Real Madrid, he got 100 points as well.
Yes. So this man he's a doer and a maker. Yeah. We always compare him to Guardiola, which is the press favorite. Mourinho is not a press favorite. He will give you as it is. He doesn't pamper the press, and the press are always giving him the negative cloud. But still, he is the special one. And he will forever be the special
one. I wish you well for the upcoming season. Next season, I wish you well.
Mourinho will always deliver.
We hear you. Anyway,
the good thing probably will be bringing in all that discipline, because if you look at Real Madrid at the moment, the discipline is off.
Yeah.
And Jose Mourinho
players doing all that they want. So for me, he coming in, he will bring in a lot of discipline. He would restructure the club.
And one of the things I love about them as well are the unwritten rules. It's just like the U.S. president shouldn't be seen wearing any, lighter colors of suits, and too many fanciful colors of ties, because, it's within a certain range.
Sure.
In the same way, Real Madrid, you don't have players who have different kinds of haircuts and styles and all that. That's one of the reasons why Neymar never made his way into Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Anyway, gentlemen.
It's going to be well.
Yeah, sure. And we wish you well on this new journey with the new club. It sure is going to be a very interesting one, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this morning, the Daily Graphic is reporting that there's a new economic model about to take shape, an investment of about 1.6 billion. A specific injection, and the target is for certain key areas of the economy. Some good news, especially when Ghana is jumping out of a specific IMF program.
Sure, there's a lot of good news. Good morning to your viewers and listeners as well. The main point is that, look, officially, Ghana has divorced the IMF, and that one is something that we have always prayed for. And His Excellency John Dramani Mahama promises one thing: stability of the city, which is currently there. But look, the destination is not the stability of the city. The destination is production. The destination is more employment for the youth. And it is clear that we are not doing anything that people were not doing. What we are doing currently is to make sure that our economy is very robust and attractive. And that is why, if you watch the investors' confidence that we are having currently right now, there is a lot of investors coming in Ghana here because the confidence is high. It is not always just about the books, about the records that we are breaking. No, it is the discipline. And my brother just used the word discipline, and I was like, wow, this is exactly what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has brought. If you watch Office of the Finance Ministry now, clear indication shows that, yes, this is a governance or government that want to make sure that discipline is installed in all our governance. Because if you watch all the appointees, just last week or last 2 weeks, there was value for money office. And people will ask, why the value for money office? Look, in many times, Ghanaians have complained that, look, there are some contracts that has been bloated. If you watch the current road minister, although he has given contract, still he is visiting every single constituency, every single district to find out that are the contractors working. Yes, this is something that you should know that, yes, it has never happened where contractors will be there and no one will just take good care of the contract they have given them, because they feel like, yes, since they have been given contract, and they can do whatever they have to do. Now you see there is discipline, there is focus, and there is direction. And I'm telling everyone, this is just the beginning. The biggest is yet to come. And we promise Ghanaians that, look, in 2026, we want to move Ghana from where we were to production. And look, this year alone, production, employment is our focus, and we are getting towards that. The confidence is back. Investors are bringing in more money because they have seen that, look, even when IMF came to Ghana, they were surprised because the books that they taught, or what they thought Ghana would be going, it is not where we are. Now the miracle is happening just because His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has put good policy in place. And the policies are working. Everyone is happy. Inflation is dropping. And that is where we want to go. But we are telling Ghanaians this is not a miracle. It is a collective responsibility for all of us to come together and make sure that we do what we have to do to make sure that our economy becomes the best. But no matter how, all those investors are welcome. But Ghanaians shouldn't forget, this is not the destination. The destination is not stability, which we are gaining right now. The destination is productivity. The destination is more industries to make Ghana industrial hub of Africa, and we will surely arrive at that. So for now, all we will say is thanks to the administration, thanks to the presidency, all what we want to see are what we are seeing. And Ghanaians are happy, and that is the only thing that we can say. The happiness of Ghanaians is what makes us happy and will forever deliver for her.
You know, the news about, Ghana, divorcing the IMF, if you may put it that way, is one that is very welcome. But the other side of it as well is we've seen this before. I mean, in previous years, we've seen this before. I mean, we cannot immediately associate it with your government and your political tradition, but then we've been down this road before. And the question then is this a 9-day wonder, if, as the regular man will put it on the street, is this a 9-day wonder? And remember that while we have gotten ourselves out of that program, there's still a bit of monitoring from the IMF regarding how spending is going to go, regarding how we're going to manage generally the liquid resource base so that certain aspects of the economy are taken care of.
Sure.
So expression of confidence against reality as well. What then is the reality? Is it a place we are going to stay? Do you believe this is a place we are going to remain at? Dubai.
Thank you very much. A good morning to the people of Amasaman. And condolences.
It's actually Amasaman.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then to a condolence to my good brother who just passed on yesterday, Okosai, and then the family.
Oh, goodness.
Chairman was a very good person.
Wow.
We lost him.
May his soul rest in peace. Mr. Okosai was a senior consultant. He worked so many years with the bank, the central bank, and it's just hitting me right now. Wow. Condolences to his family.
Okay. And then let's come back to the main discussion. You see, the IMF, Ghana exiting IMF is not the first time we've ever done that. It is almost about the 17th time since Nkrumah's days, the days of Nkrumah, that we've gone to IMF and then we've come back. And we're looking at how good the whole system should look like. This was a program that Ghana was on for virtually 36 months, and then we've run the course of it from 2023 to 2025,
yeah.
And then this year, May, is a completion period, and then we're working out of it. You see, when it happens like this, what the school of thought will be is that, yes, there will be a macroeconomic stability. The inflation, yes, has dropped significantly from when NDC took over. It was 23%. In fact, in 2022, it went to 54% and it dropped to 23%. And then now we can talk about the 3.5% thereabout where it holds. So it's been looking good. The exchange rate has also been a little down from where it was, and it has dropped a little bit. So if you look at the cedi volatility, it has reduced, and then restructuring has been good. And then we talk about the external financial flow has also been good, with the Bank of Ghana injecting so much money into the economy, or in its way of trying to sew up the cedi to the dollar margins and all that. So it's been good. Let's put it that way. We walking out of IMF shows that, yes, we have the country on a certain pedestal. Now, what it therefore presupposes is that Ghana has its own destiny in its hands. Because when you join the IMF and then you take a facility from IMF, what it means is that they will come with their conditionalities and all that. So they will tell you, we're doing this, we're doing that, don't go that way, don't go that way. And then will be telling us to increase our tariffs, and then don't employ people, we'll give you a quota with him. So the conditionalities will be there from the IMF if they are there, and then they control it. But now, what the IMF becomes is that they become like external auditors. That is, we are a member of the Bretton Woods institutions. We can't walk away from them because we are members. The World Bank, the IMF, and all that. But now, the very moment we say, oh, fine, we have divorced them, we have not divorced them entirely. We are still members of the IMF treaty and all that. So the charter, and we can't walk away from it. But for them to control and then to have a say as to how we want to put things is what they can't see much now. What it means is that the finance ministry, the government will have to come up with different programs, a program that will guide us. That will be what we will be in that frame. I know in recent past, back in 2015, the then JM administration started what they are doing today, okay? When instead of going to external bodies for financing, they would rely on the local banks and all that. And I've seen that they are coming back to those things. So the local banks will be funding government, and when they fund government, if you have a moratorium of 5 years, you know that you are still in business because government has its interest that will be paying to you for the next probably 5 years and all that. So you'll be getting money and you are still in good business if you are dealing with government. And I've seen that they are rolling out some of those policies back again, which we pray they are able to discipline themselves. You see, that is the main issue here. If you walk out of the IMF and then you don't have a good fiscal policy discipline systems in place, you will see people spending government money anyhow, because the IMF, World Bank, who will be on your neck, will be out there making sure that you don't overspend. Making sure that you don't overspend, making sure that you don't go beyond some of the things that you have been doing in the past as a government. Now, they are no more here. They only but come in as like external auditors. That is their role now, as it stands now.
Sure.
They will only by coming as external auditors, ensuring that your books are good, ensuring that you are doing that which is right, and making sure that you don't become a spendthrift. Sometimes there's a tendency that politically, governments and then institutions and agencies and all that, sometimes I don't blame the politician. I blame some of our technocrats.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yes, because they will be the ones spending, they will be the ones in charge of projects, and then they are supposed to ensure that things are done accordingly, but then they'll be doing it the other way around. But the bottom lies, or the bus stops in the office of the politician that has been appointed into that office. So definitely, the politician will be blamed for some of these reckless spending and all that. But listen, we're working out of the IMF with the debt structuring, sustainability, and then external debts that have been restructured and all that. It looks good on paper. But in actual sense, where I have a little problem with is all these that we are talking about, inflation down, this one down. The cost of living is still high. That is my problem. You can look good on paper. Government can have policies, can have things that are written in and then thrown to us, and then it looks good. But in reality, people are coming who still prices it can't up, places that it should be reducing. You see, when you talk about this, government would come up with their own communique. I know he will say something about this. And then they will tell you people are still, we can't reduce the pricing and all that. The reality is that Ghanaians must feel this in their pockets. If inflation is down.
So for you, that's the end of the story?
For me, you see, we know that
those who also would tell you that this is a means to an end because, it's structured. Mm-hmm. Therefore, it's going to take some time. I mean, that's why we're getting details of what the finance minister would be placing into his budget for next year.
Is it me? We shouldn't deceive ourselves. Is it policy credibility is always of essence when it comes to some of these things. You see, like I've spoken about fiscal discipline. Fiscal discipline, the IMF now as external auditors.
Yeah, before you before you go on, you mentioned fiscal discipline and being fair to the current government. Would you say, in your own assessment, that between January 1, 2025 and now, they have been disciplined? I mean, where would you place government currently on the scale? Because you sound like, oh, well, this we've seen before, so it's not a big deal. How would you rate the current government when it comes to fiscal discipline?
How do I rate them?
Yeah, because had it not been for that kind of fiscal discipline, Ghana wouldn't have gotten out of this program. Fair?
Not entirely the case.
Not entirely the case?
Not entirely the case.
No, but Ghana has followed...
Just last week, I saw a video where my good friend, elder brother, Agoja, was telling...
The roads minister?
Yes, the roads minister was telling one contractor that they have signed with them, they have made a commitment, even though because of the commitment...
Mobilization, yes.
He would have revoked the contract or terminated the contract that they signed. You see, this is a contractor that has been given money, he's been given mobilization, he's supposed to be on site, and then he's not even touched the road.
Is that?
But that is not the doing of the government.
No, I'm coming. You may say.
Yeah,
you may say.
Hold on. Haven't we had situations where government gives out contracts to contractors? I mean, we're all Ghanaians. Yes. We drive on the roads. We see. I mean, it's not only and I'm glad to have Kwame Prempeh here. He's a former deputy CEO of the Public Procurement Authority. He joins us for the conversations this morning. Kwame, good to see you.
good morning. Good to see you too.
Yeah. The confidence is high.
Oh, yes.
The rains haven't dampened your spirit.
You know the rains. It's a doomsday.
Okay.
You know, in Adenta...
Do we still have doomsday?
Oh, ask everybody in Adenta.
I live in Adenta as well.
Where you which part of Adenta?
I live, down the fire service lane.
Yes,
they call
I live next to the court.
Yeah. You're up there close to the flats.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we were in Doomsday since yesterday afternoon.
And you're sure the lights are not back?
Oh, no, they were back when I was leaving home this morning.
So the lights are back.
But Doomsday doesn't mean that we don't have lights throughout the week. I mean, what I'm saying is that it goes out and it comes on.
But we've had periods where it's been off like the whole day and all of that. So at least we were able to manage this.
But it was off from noon all the way till about 4 o'clock this morning.
I see.
So I don't know whether we should call it a progress, or not. But it's not only that. Over the previous week, I also own a business in Adenta. Over the previous week, we've had every single day, either the lights are off, or the face is off, or there's low current. And it is costing businesses, in Adenta. And we were told that it was because of transformer,
But faces being off and, faces being off and low current, they are not as a result of doom. So those are different issues.
Low current can be as a result of low generation. So it's also part of it. I'm saying it either goes off or you have low current or you have. So you have all these three every single day. Any of them. And the issue is, if the reasons that we're giving for Doomso, we had the Akosombo, which is now fixed, right? We've had the transformer upgrade. So are they telling me that every week they are upgrading transformers in Adenta? I mean, we have to be truthful.
And another thing, I mean, let's not run away from the fact that ECG always deals with issues of the harshness of the weather, which affects some of the transformers and some of the equipment. I mean, that is something that happens on a seasonal basis. And
I appreciate what you're trying to say. What I'm saying is that every day, for the past 2-3 weeks, every single day.
Yeah, I have to visit you at home.
Not only at home. I also have a business close to the station, so that's the other part of Adenta.
Yeah.
Right. And we have had issues every single day. Last week, every single day, production we had a problem, and we had to produce to meet targets because we are sending outside the country. And we had to apply generator every single day. So we are even thinking of going off the grid and maybe. Because you cannot plan.
Using another form of energy.
Yeah, because you can't schedule when the grid, is not stable, and when you don't know when it will come, when it will go. So if you are off the grid, at least you can incur the cost, but at least you can schedule. So these are the hardship that we are being pushed through. But anyway, we are Ghanaians, so
let's wrap up with your point so that I come back to him. Yeah.
So for ECG and then Gridco, they have to be telling us the truth. In actual fact, the Energy Ministry must be telling us the truth. Because Ghana,
he has changed.
No, I'm not changing. It's because of what he said.
No, but
I'll come back to
I'm just reminding.
Your unlimited time.
Yes.
They must be telling us the truth somewhere. From our research, we are running at a deficit of barely almost about 700 megawatts. At peak, and then we need to be looking at it carefully. Something is not gelling up somewhere. Anyway, that is a discussion for another day.
Thank God.
He's my good friend.
I thought you would have taken the opportunity to address it.
So it's a discussion for another day.
It's a discussion for another day.
Keep it at that.
Sure. Let's come back to our the IMF issue. For me, like I said earlier on, yes, you were talking about the fiscal discipline thing that we were talking about. If the government wants to ensure that walking out of IMF does not become just a 9-day wonder thing, that is the most important thing. How to be disciplined.
I like this point that you've hit because you were very clear on issues of discipline, but the point we're also making then is that there was a certain level of discipline based on which we got to this milestone. All right, so I'll come back to you, but Kwame, tell me, government has reached this milestone. I mean, we've just like he said, Ibrahim said. We've gotten up to this point on several occasions, and we can give several examples. But at least there is some respite because we're here, and it was based on a structure and a certain strict regimen that government had to follow when it came to spending, when it came to allocation of resources, and delivery of jobs and all of that. At least you'd give them some credit. Away from the issue of, away from the Doomsaw issues, at least this one you give them.
You see, first let me say a good morning to the viewers,
sure.
And then everybody here in the studio, including my colleagues, panelists. And also let me bring a very good morning from His Excellency, the former president, former vice president, Dr. Bawumia, to all Ghanaians. He said a very good morning, and he said, let's enjoy this hardship, and he's willing to come and rescue us from this hardship. Let's get back to the studio. So, you see, when NDC came, there was a program, right? So they were restricted and forced to follow the program. So yes, they've been disciplined, but it is not a voluntary discipline. It was a program that we, agreed on and we started. And till we left power, we are also disciplined following the program. And if you look at all the reports brought up by IMF during the program, you could see that government, whether NDC or MPP, has been doing its best to be able to follow the program all the way to the end, and it now existed. But what the PCI, yes, we have existed the financial part of the program, but the need for the PCI, what it tells me, and let me be honest, I'm not an economist, right? So of course I had to read more when I hear some of these things. And what I understand about the PCI is that it was introduced, I think, somewhere in 2019, 2018, thereabout.
Sure.
Right, and I think there's only be a handful of countries that have gone through this program. And basically, its introduction is to ensure that when you don't need financial support, but you need some technical support, they will still be there to guide you along the line. So what the PCI means is that, technically, Ghana is still under supervision, technically. Though there is no financial lending part of it.
Yeah, but financial lending is a crucial part.
Yes, that's a crucial part. About that. Yes, yeah. Definitely. I'm not saying that there's no doubt about it. But I'm saying that technically, right, there's some kind of a mistrust whether we can be on our own. Whether it was from ourselves or whether it's from IMF, there's some kind of caution. No, let's remain under this program, even if we don't need the technical assistance, the financial assistance, so that technically they can support us along the line. It is a good call, but let's not forget, right? We've been independent for about 69 years, right? We are getting to the 70th year, next year. And out of that 69, right, if you look technically, we've been under IMF program for about 40 of those years, which is a big concern. As a sovereign nation, and as our first president, proclaimed that the black man, is capable of, managing his own affairs. If you look at the Ghana case, I think we failed somehow, and we have to get back on track.
Especially when we have to go for a sum as small as $3 billion. $3 billion. If you look at certain sectors of the economy, if we had become a proper production economy, just like your government told us. $3 billion shouldn't have been a problem at all.
No, $3 billion is just to fix a gap, right? It is not to run the country. But I think the importance of IMF program is not per se the money. The money is important, but it's the technical assistance. It's the ensuring that you are disciplined, as my brother Ibrahim kept mentioning. It's about fiscal discipline, and that is where they force us when they are part, when we have a program. And that is why, even though financially we don't need that financial assistance, but we are still continuing the program.
You've also made a very important point about our sovereignty as a nation and how far we've traveled after independence. And that should be a matter of concern for both political traditions. Because, we're sitting here today and we're still discussing the IMF as a major subject because, for want of a better word, both sides of the political divide have not been disciplined. That's the truth. Because you're telling me that, we need them to watch us. It's more or less to tell us that when we wake up in the mornings, we need somebody to tell us to brush our teeth.
No, basically, that's what you can look at it that way. When we were exiting the program, I read a few commentaries from some experts within the industry and some CSOs, and everybody's concern was that, okay, we've done well going through the program, but will we have that fiscal discipline when we exit? And even before we got to this stage, there were mention of going for another, Eurobond and on all those things that were being mentioned, that was thrown around. And people were concerned that if we exit, we will continue the discipline that we have been forced to have up until now. And with the PCI tells me that no, we were not convinced by ourselves, and even the external parties were also not convinced that when we exit the ECF program, we'll be able to remain disciplined and then chart the course. And that's why the PCI has come in. And you can look at it both ways, whether it is bad, whether it is good. But at the end of the day, it's about achieving the fiscal discipline, right? And we keep going back to IMF because structurally, we don't take time, to fix our problems. And I think that's why we keep going back. So anytime there are external shocks, of course, the shocks that came from COVID-19 and the war in Ukraine, no one could have predicted it. But that is why we need to strengthen the basic structures, and that is what MPP started, right? That this government is also continuing. But they must be cautious, with the land they are throwing, and ensure that whatever is being achieved, in the indices and on paper, should translate also to the pocket of the people. And I think that's why my brother Dubuani was mentioning.
I'm like, there's the talk about jobs, okay? Yeah. Job creation, there's a talk about production and focus on certain key areas of the economy. We do know that the NDC has articulated very, very well its desire to focus very heavily on agriculture, which should be the next phase of. Sure. And I remember very well that a couple of months ago, His Excellency the President launched the very first Farmer Services Center in the Afram Plains area, which is supposed to be a model that will be replicated in other parts of the country. Yeah. What do you see happening here, especially within that budget document that will be presented to Parliament in the coming year, regarding a key sector like agriculture and what it can contribute to staying away from the funding program under the IMF?
Sure. Thank you. I think my brother, let me welcome him. He was talking about, how do you call it? The doomsday, according to him, which is back, which I don't have a problem. But I want to remind him, this is Kwame A. Prepra on his Facebook account. On 9th, on 9th September 2023. And this is what he said. The brouhaha surrounding the blackout yesterday in itself is a testament to how far we have progressed. Sometime ago, that would have been the norm. Look, this was someone who was trying to let the whole Ghana understand that the doomsday that we were facing that time, which was so bad, not even compared to what we are facing now, which he was begging Ghanaians and making sure that Ghanaians should come down and should not attack his government, is today forgetting what he said earlier on. Sometimes, don't let us forget about ourselves. And this is it. This is it. You see, we shouldn't forget where we are coming from. No, I'm just giving him a reminder. I'm just giving him a reminder of what we were, where we were, and where we are now. And that is the case. I wasn't. No, please. While you're talking, I didn't talk. So relax.
A one-day blackout?
It wasn't a one-day blackout. We were in, and I'm just reminding him of where we are coming from. So he shouldn't.
That's a good research.
So please, you should just relax for us. Let us fix this economy as well. We will do that. Thank you so much. Now, you see, as I said, the IMF program, yes, we promised Ghanaians that we will take Ghanaians out of it. And trust me, we've divorced the IMF, certainly. But you see, our focus right now, as I said, industrial productivity is our focus. Youth employment is our focus. Private sector expansion is our focus. And manufacturing has war and logistics and agribusiness. Look, the reason why we are no more using the word agriculture, and we have added the word agribusiness is that we know that for sure when we empower Ghanaians, when we put more money into agriculture, we will be self-reliant. And that is what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama promised, that in 2026, his focus is youth employment his focus is agribusiness. And I am not in doubt on cities. I'm not in doubt that, look, the ex-Bawumia administration that took us to junk economy, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has revamped it. We have moved from that junk economy that Bawumia left us, and now we are now into the production or the productive economy. And that is what Ghanaians want. Look, today, people will not see where we are going. And as I said, the destination is not the stability that we are enjoying. The destination is agribusiness. The destination is productivity. And Ghanaians should be rest assured that, look, whatever we are doing now, look, value for money office, whatever we are doing now is just towards that particular thing called agribusiness. That's why you mentioned the Farmer Service Center. It is the only issue is that, look, if you watch the agribusiness, there are a lot of mechanical or machinery problems that our farmers don't do high-end, like hectares of land, just because of the machineries that they are lacking. This is where His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is bringing those machines to the doorsteps of the farmers. What we want to do with it is what? Look, if you're a farmer and you're having a 10-acre and you can't work on it, look, come to us, we will give you the machines. You will not pay us a dime. But after the harvest, then we'll take our money. This is what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is bringing on board. And the farmers are happy. And Ghanaians are happy because this is what we have not seen. All I'm praying is the policy has come. The sustainability is the focus right now. How will we sustain this particular program? Because you know Ghanaians, it will come so nice. But
you're asking how we're going to sustain. Shouldn't it be we have a plan in place and we're going to sustain by doing X, X, and Y?
I am representing the president. I am representing the government. And I know for sure that we have all those plans. And aside me representing the government, I am a Ghanaian and I know what's happening in Ghana. A clear example is the road minister that my brother was talking about that has given contract to a Ghanaian, and yet he is not working. And that is why we are going around and making sure that we put them in check.
Just for correction purposes, it was a Chinese contractor, it was not a Ghanaian.
No, there's been quite a number of them. So there was a Chinese contractor, there was also a Ghanaian.
What I'm talking about was the Ghanaian one. Yes, exactly. So please, there's no correction there. Yes, thank you. In this case, I'm a Ghanaian and I know what is going on. And you are a Ghanaian as well, and we all know what happened. So, but for the policy, yes, we have brought the policy. Sustainability is our prayer, is our focus. And we all have to join hands and make sure that, yes, we sustain it because it's a very good policy. And when my brother was talking, he was talking about the system and the high, in the books are good, but in reality, they are not. Look, what he has forgotten is that in 2024, cement was 120 cedis. Today, it is 107 cedis. Iron rods, 1 ton was 10,000.
Did it actually get to 120 cedis?
It was never 120.
See, boss, when you were talking, when you were doing your presentation, I was so quiet. I wrote it down, so please do that as well for me. One, when it was 120 cedis, now it is 107 cedis. When iron rods, a ton was 10,000 Ghana cedis. That's 9,700. Today, it is 7,500. When rice, 5 kilograms of rice was 120 cedis. Today, it's 75 cedis. Ghanaians appreciate the effect of the inflation that we are talking about. It is, we feel it. Today, when you are going to do importation of a container, which will cost you 300,000 based on the inflation that was high or the exchange rate that was high. Today, that same container that you use at 300,000, you need just 220,000 Ghana cedis to import that container. That is what Ghanaians are feeling. Ghanaians are happy. This is the Israel we want to be. That is what Ghanaians are talking about. Look, although it is not all that rosy, because we are moving. It is just 2 years, barely less than 2 years that we are doing all this. We have 4 years. And in 2 years, if we are able to do this, to show Ghanaians the destination that some people couldn't take us to, and we are able to show Ghanaians that this is where some people have been praying so hard to be, in less than 2 years, we have taken Ghanaians to that promised land. Ghanaians are continuing, and they will give us that support, and they will keep on praying for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama because he talked and he do. And I know some people, when they talk, they couldn't do it. Look, the truth of the fact is that when the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. And when the fundamentals are strong, the exchange rate will reward you. And this is exactly what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has done. The exchange rate has rewarded him on his hard work. Let us enjoy it. If you don't have an eye, please use your ears to see. Ghanaians are happy. And that is it.
That's an old African proverb, I guess. Using your ears to see if you can have your eyes see. If you just joined us, we're here on News Flash on Prime Morning. And here with me in the studio is Kwame Prempeh. He's a former Deputy CEO of the PPA, the Public Procurement Authority, and also Abdulai Sakra Alhassan. He is a member of the NDC Communications Team Member. Is he heads the Accountability Initiative. Gentlemen, let me come to you, Kweku. You were shaking your head in disagreement.
He was happy.
Yeah.
He was just happy of the reality. That's all. He was just happy of the reality. That's all.
This is forced happiness, man. Whether you like it or not, you are happy. Ghanaians, whether you like it or not.
Oh, see where you are going. Oh, see where you are going.
Grind your moves.
He's a good friend. And then wherever we have met, I have tried my best to tell him that, listen, what you see is not what we see, okay? We as policy think tanks or CSOs, when we are out there in our research, in our quest to find out how Ghanaians feel about government, it is not as you make it look like.
Sure.
No, but before you continue, there's a bit in there where while the figures, may not be the exact on the market, there have been marginal decreases.
So you can't work. I have sat here on this same station, and I've congratulated government for doing that, which is good for us.
You're in agreement with the decrease in prices of certain key commodities on the market.
Thank you.
That's fair. Okay.
I know. Listen. It is not going to be all rosy. Rome was not built in a day. The inflation was up there. He's brought it down. But then the reality is that there are still prices out there that are still up there, which should have dropped a little. It does not necessarily mean that because inflation came down, so all prices must reduce drastically.
Sure.
That is not what the position should be if you want to analyze this whole thing critically. But then when it comes to say cement was 120, which
was never the case.
It was never the case, actually.
Well, how much was it?
That's why I was.
How much was it?
So that's why I was saying.
How much was it?
While the figures could be difficult, it's we don't know. While the figures may be disputed, they've been.
Yes, that one you can't run away from.
All right.
For fuel prices dropping and all that, which was good for us. But then some of those, we'll come to it, and when we get to the four issues that we were talking about. You see, the agribusiness he was talking about, that which the reason why I was shaking my head when he was talking about the farm inputs and all that, and you have to go to them, and then if you have the land, they'll give you. I pray they will not be looking at party cards.
Oh no.
Which has always been the bane of the Ghanaian system.
No.
Okay? No. Well, they kind of crown it. See, listen, it happens that a lot of the time, it's been like whether NPP or NDC happens.
So it's a Ghanaian problem.
It's a Ghanaian problem.
Where a government is in power and there are opportunities, and then
they look at
checking party cards, party affiliation.
Party affiliation, and then that is it. And that in itself alone will kill the program. Because they'll be looking at people. People have the lands, they have the knowledge to do the farming and all that. But because he does not have my party card, so I will not even look at him. Looking to his direction, and that on its own will kill the program, because they will put round pegs in square holes, and it will not work. Okay, so for me, when we come back to this IMF issue, now the IMF is going to be like an external auditor. And then you know what an external auditor does? He only comes in yearly to check on your books and then to see whether things are good or things look bad. Okay, and then would tell you that do this or do that to salvage the situation. That is the role the IMF is going to play now. But then we who are here, you see, a lot of our being has been on it that Ghana, we don't take our monitoring and evaluation departments, we don't take whatever they come up with seriously. You see, the monitoring and evaluation departments of some of these institutions will tell us that where we are going, it will not work. The things we want to do will not be good for government. Yet, the government of the day will not even listen to them. But then they who are technocrats and find themselves in those monitoring and evaluation departments know and then can predict, they can foresee where we are heading towards. You see, it's been some of these things that has happened in the past. Why did we fail in working out of IMF and later had to go back to them? Because like you rightly put it, some of the monies we go to the IMF to take, $3 billion, it's woefully not even. Sometimes I ask myself, why? Do we really need this? Because we have a country where our expenditure alone is 302 billion Ghana cedis, which translates to almost about 26 billion US dollars. Okay? And we will go to the IMF only for 3 million, which was span, not 3 billion, which was span for about 3 years.
Yeah.
Do we really need that? These are monies that our revenue generation systems could have easily brought it in if we were listening to the monitoring and evaluation M&E departments of the Ministry of Finance, because they've told us that, listen, some of these things we're doing, it will not help. In 2006, we came out of the IMF after the HIPC issues, and then we failed because the fiscal relaxation and the narrow bond and the guardrails did not work. In 2012, the wage bills, the energy debts, the no restructuring fix did not work in our favor, so we had to go back to IMF. In 2019, the structural rigidity, the shock exposure, and then the benchmarks made us go back to the IMF. Now, we find ourselves here. These are just, even in the recent past, 3 that we divorced the IMF as he wants us to put it.
Oh, yeah.
And then we had to go back again because all these things did not work for us. That is why I keep repeating that if we are not disciplined, we will have to run back to them again.
All right, a point well made. Let me come to you, Kwame. Your government has been there before, and for you, what would you see as the red flags? I believe that Kweku has enumerated some of them, talking about discipline with spending and all of that. But what for you are the key areas of concern, at this time? Because the general thing that we're expecting is that when it comes to foreign direct investment, the minimum is that there will be a lot more investor confidence because they've seen us reach this milestone through certain key measures. Yes.
I think we've been saying on this table is that at the end of the day, whatever we are doing as a country, whether we are on the IMF program, whether we are not, is to have the fiscal discipline, first and foremost. But the most importantly is to translate it, for the benefit of the average Ghanaian, right? If you look at, even the growth, the GDP growth of last year, if you look at the dollar exchange rate, if you look at, the inflation, it has not been to the benefit of the average Ghanaian, and that is where the concern is in. That's where we have to look at. I have said that prices are high. My brother is telling me no, they are low, but I think the Ghanaian know the truth. You know, we know that at this moment when you are buying a ticket, you know, from Kumasi to Accra, whether you are taking VIP or whether you are taking flight, the prices are quite high. And it's much, much more than the 3.6 or 3.5% inflation that we are talking about. And that is a fact of the average Ghanaian. Whether you are going by road or you are going by air, your ticket has increased drastically. Those international, you know, visitors or Ghanaians that are traveling abroad, your ticket has increased drastically because of added tax that have been added to it. You know, our brother, Honorable Atufosin, you know, came in saying he's going to, you know, increase revenue without adding tax. But here are these key places where tax has been added, which is a concern to the average Ghanaian. They introduced the D-levy, you know, last year, 1 cedi on every liter of petrol and diesel. That is something that is affecting every Ghanaian. Even those without cars, when the fuel increases, means transportation cost is going to increase. Those that are doing business in terms of, you know, agribusiness, hauling, you know, food produce from farms to our markets, the prices are going to increase. Yesterday, I bought 10 cedi worth of pepper, and my God, you could cry. It can fit in my palm. It wasn't the case previously. You know,
previously, between which period and which period?
I mean, I can even say it wasn't the case a couple of months ago. I can even say, right? And of course, if you are talking about, you know, 2 years, 3 years ago, it was even better. But the fact is, prices keep increasing. You know, so whatever government is doing.
But of course, on the lighter side, if you invite the 4 of us for a KK party, you should be able to handle, you know, you won't go into debt.
Oh no, I'm not saying you go into, but it adds up. It adds up, right? I mean, things add up. You can say I can afford it. What about the average Ghanaian? What about the person that is, you know, selling ice water, you know, sachet water along the street? Or the person that is, you know, selling handkerchief and these tissues? You know, these are making, you know, small amounts of money every day, and they have to be survived. And those are the ones in majority, right? Now we are talking. You know, he started talking about farmers with these agri centers that have been set up. You know, it's unfortunate that they are not looking at the farmers that have sustained Ghanaian economy since independence, even before independence. That's the cocoa farmers. Cocoa farmers are dying and crying. Yes, you have reduced the price, but pay them. There's nothing that they can do if you reduce the price. You are the government, you know. And I think it's about time that we look at the structure of Cocoa Board. You see, Cocoa Board was set up, you know, in order to help the farmers. When prices are good, Cocoa Board is supposed, you know, to take some of the excess money, and then when prices are bad, cushion the farmers when prices are bad. But what we've seen lately is that, you know, when prices are down, everything is calculated back to the farmer. And then we have people at Cocoa Board, you know, receiving, you know, what word should I even use? Gargantuan, you know, salaries, you know, conducting unnecessary exercises, buying unnecessary cars, and all that.
When did the current administration of Cocoa Board buy any cars? I'd want you to share that with me.
Last year they bought cars. I mean, that's been widely reported. That
how many of them, which brands of cars, and for what purpose? I think it's important that you share those with us because, you see, I've monitored some state institutions, some SOEs, okay? And we know what their challenges were. We know of people who went into these institutions with their own personal vehicles and all of that. And so, Kwame, I'll be very grateful if you can tell us how many vehicles you saw them buy, for what purpose, first of all, because it's also, all of this must be placed within context.
Of course.
Yes.
Everything must be placed within context.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that for saying sake. This have been widely reported, that certain vehicles were bought. Yes, every vehicle you buy, you can put, you know, rules to it that is going to do this, is going to do that. But the point is, how necessary is it?
Which models of vehicles were bought?
They've bought pickups, they've bought V8s.
How many of them?
I can give you the number when I.
And for which?
I will give it to you, and I'll take the document. I'll get the document and give it.
Please do, because you see.
But the point of the matter.
If I were watching you now, I would be yearning for that information.
I'll give you the numbers before we leave here.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that we have to relook at the structure of Cocoa Board, right? And this is non-partisan. It is not NDC or MPP. We have to look at a structure where, when prices are good, it benefits Cocoa Board, and when prices are bad, it is to the detriment
to cushion.
Yes.
Another thing.
So
this Farmer Services Center that Abdulai mentioned, there's one that serves, the mass of farmers. It doesn't discriminate to say we are serving this set of farmers or otherwise.
What I'm saying is that
what I know of the concept, is that it is supposed to be replicated in all of our farming areas in Ghana, and that includes cocoa farmers.
What I'm saying is that we have a current, issue. We have a current crisis with cocoa farmers, and it's not even only cocoa farmers. We have how do you call it? We have farmers in the blue areas, right? Cashew farmers who are also struggling with price, decreases, there. We have farmers in maize who are also struggling with price decreases. So we have to look at the crisis at the moment. Yes, I agree. We have to support all the farmers, but this is a long-term program. I don't think they've even set up 11 yet. They just started and they're setting it up. But that doesn't mean that those in crisis must wait. That's why I'm drawing his attention to it. It's good to think about farmers, but there are farmers in crisis as we speak now, and we have to turn our eyes.
So you prefer you prefer a structure where they hold on with the establishment of these farmer service centers and sort out the issues of crisis, if you may put it that way.
I think you can work and chew them at the same time. You don't have to put one on hold to take care of the other. I said they should look at the farmers that are struggling at the moment. That's the only thing I'm trying to point out.
All right.
So my issue of what we have to look at is going forward, is to ensure that whatever we are doing is to the benefit of the average Ghanaian. And that is what we have to look at. And if we come and sit on TV and say all the things that we have to say, look into our nice books and then all this data, the average Ghanaian watching us, how is it benefiting them? And that is what I think we have to look at. And I've given a lot of examples where the average Ghanaian is not benefiting, where the average Ghanaian, is suffering. And there are certain decisions that this government has taken that have resulted to that, right? So, like we said, GDP has grown in 2025, but most of the growth is in sectors that are not benefiting the average Ghanaian. Gold prices were skyrocketed last year, which also helped in increasing GDP. But how many of our Ghanaians are benefiting when gold prices goes up? These are what I'm saying that we things that we should look at.
All right, I'll come back. I'll come back to Abdulai for his response.
Need to help Kwame.
You definitely.
I'm not going to definitely.
You help him. You help him.
Ni asked the question. That
he didn't ask you a question. He asked me a question.
No, but I'll get the numbers. So
we'll get to it.
We are all here having a discussion.
He asked how many cars the cars that were purchased by the
you have the figures. Do you have any official document that makes a request?
He doesn't.
Cocoa Board themselves, in the rebuttal to some of these concerns that were raised by the minority, came out to say that yes, they bought a fleet of cars for field operations, for the extension officers and all that. About 70% of the cars they have now have been used for over 10 years.
Very well.
So they needed to buy new ones.
Okay.
But then
that also falls within policy. These are existing policies.
Exactly.
And considering that Kwame comes from a procurement background where he was a deputy CEO of the PPA, he knows that there's always justification for such,
Exactly.
Now, my area of concern is if these vehicles were just bought for the want of buying vehicles, because that is the tone I seem to get from him. And so if these vehicles are needed, because extension officers are a critical part of the delivery of the work of the ecosystem. So
that is where I wanted us to look at. Is it not to make it look as if there was a necessity for them to buy those vehicles.
Hold on that point quick. I'll come back to you very shortly. Let's also get a bit more insight into this from a technical perspective. Now, Professor Siriam Kawo is an associate professor of finance at the University of Ghana School of Business. He joins us on Zoom for more perspective on the conversation around Ghana. Okay, so I beg your pardon, the University of Cape Coast. All right. So, Prof, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much, Matt.
Good to have you here on the show. Now, I'm sure you probably have been monitoring us this morning, the line of conversation around Ghana exiting a specific program under the IMF and its immediate effects and its long-term effects as well. For the ordinary man on the street, knowing that a certain aspect of governance when it comes to economy and finance is within full control of the government is something that is good, or it's good news. But of course, what are the realities that confront us? We've heard quite a number of submissions here in the studio, but for you, from a very technical perspective, what are the realities that confront us? Should we start celebrating immediately? Should we hold on a little bit?
Thank you very much. Should we start celebrating, or we have to wait a little bit? Nat, how many times have you been to the IMF?
Quite a number of times.
Quite a number of times. More than 17 times.
17, yes.
And the situation hasn't changed. Anytime we exit the IMF, we still go back after a few years. And so it means that there are fundamental issues that we need to deal with as a country. One, our fiscal discipline is questionable, especially during the election year. You have state-owned enterprises that will balloon the debt portfolio of the country, which is worrying. We went to the IMF because the country was almost underground, where salaries and repairs would not be paid over a period of time. So Nat, the reality that we faced is that we went to the IMF for the bailout of $2 billion to shore up our economy and ensure that critical services are provided to the ordinary Ghanaian. If today we are leaving the IMF, the ordinary Ghanaian needs to be worried, because when we went to the IMF, with their monitoring, their technical expertise and advice that they've given to the government over a period of time, have brought us to the sustainable level that we are today. It's good and a smart move by the government to go for the policy coordination instrument, which is the non-financing agreement with the IMF. That will bring a lot of investor confidence in the economy and will monitor. I heard one of the panelists telling us that the IMF is going to serve as auditors. Auditors come at the end of the year, but in our case today, the auditors are coming. That's the IMF. They are coming in every 6 months. They are going to provide technical advice on how the finances of the economy will be measured. I agree with the panelists that we need to make sure that our institutions are strong. Our state-owned enterprises must be made more viable and strong in order to ensure that government will not spend money on loss-making entities within the economy. And so for now, if you ask me, is it time for us to celebrate? I would say no. It is early days yet. We just exited the program. We have to see how the impact will be and how the finance ministry, when it comes to expenditure, will be able to work out how they can manage themselves fiscally and ensure that the fiscal discipline moves with the monetary policies of the country.
Prof, there's a place of interest, which is which sector of the economy can drive. I mean, Kwame was just reminding all of us about what gold did for us in terms of, revenue generation because of the global phenomenon of price, price appreciation. Now, which sector, from your perspective, can drive this agenda of becoming a viable economy and so that we can sustain this current status?
Now, this is a clear issue. We need to invest in the real sectors of the economy. When we're talking about the real sectors of the economy, we are talking about sectors that will ensure that there is production, there is manufacturing, there's construction, sectors that will ensure that our extractive sectors are not just exporting raw materials, but they add value to the product that they send outside there. So if we are spending, then we need to spend in these real sectors of the economy. And that will boost employment, growth, and will ensure that our export earnings are good. The goods sector is good. It's adding up to the lowering the inflation rate that we see today. But it cannot remain in the extractive state. And that is why we have a good board trying to add value to the growth that we extract in our country. And so the manufacturing sector, the agri sector, the construction sector are sectors that we need to invest in and train people and train the human resource to have expertise in these areas to boost the economy, because they will have a rippling effect on the other sectors of the economy. We cannot leave manufacturing, agri, construction, and then we go into services. The services are coming to do what? The services are laying their foundation on what these real sectors of the economy are doing.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you very much, Prof. Prof has raised a very important point here. He talks about laying a solid foundation because the services sector hinges very broadly on the kind of foundation that our productive sector is, and he's talking about value addition. He talks about agriculture, like we've mentioned in here. And I do remember that sometime last year, Gold Coast Refinery went back into production, where they were refining the gold and exporting it, which goes to answer the question again. But, Prof has mentioned the extractive sector, and it goes to also beg a little question. Now, in the past few weeks, we've had a few key milestones in the extractive sector. Number one being that eventually engineers and planners took over the Daman mine and took over from Gold Fields. That is a key milestone. I mean, engineers and planners have been in the system for a very long time, doing a lot of the technical work and the extraction, and they have the expertise. They fulfilled all the requirements. Now they've taken over. And then after that, the news came in that the Takwa mine under Gold Fields also has the expiration of its license and would want to renew for another 20 years. But it doesn't look like it's something that government is positioning itself towards. So now local entities are being encouraged. And then a major statement comes from the IEA through the former Chief Justice, Sophia Akufo, who says that, listen, let's localize all of our entities in the extractive sector. Okay, how does this also then affect all of this, where indigenous entities are participating in the extractive industry? Let me begin with you before we come back to Prof.
So before even coming there, I think my brother was trying to let us know how people and Ghanaians are not feeling the effect of the inflation that we talk about. And I want to quote him as well. On 4th April 2023, he made mention that the cedi is appreciated, which is good for business. So if then it was good for business when cedi was appreciating and cedi was even at 15 cedis. And today, cedi is at 11 cedis.
Okay.
And it's
so,
not good
Kwame, that's from your verified page.
Okay, I'll respond to this one.
If yesterday cedi appreciating was better for business, today why is he now telling us it is not? Look, let us be fair to Ghanaians. Let us tell Ghanaians the truth. It shouldn't be yesterday. It was good when we were in power. And today, it is better. You can't tell Ghanaians it is better. We should stop all those things and be frank and be real to Ghanaians. And when he was talking about the flight from Kumasi coming or anything, he was telling us that it is expensive now. Look, go and check. And facts are there. In 2024, when they were leaving, flights from Accra to Kumasi was 1,100 Ghana cedis. Today, it is 1,100 Ghana cedis, 1,063. We all go to Kumasi. I have booked a flight to Kumasi and I have it here. We have two types. We have early bird where you can book before you know when you will be going. The price is different.
Maybe
when you are booking,
given a good
I don't know what I'm saying.
Maybe he was given a good
straightforward.
See, I'm coming. This is it. Exactly. I'm coming to show it to him because I just booked a flight to Kumasi and I'm going on the 29th of this month and I have booked. And when I booked, I did a round trip and it was, so my brother just take on, let me just bring it because we have to show facts.
So as we speak, we were looking for two documents now, one from Cocoa Board purchasing vehicles and another one on evidence that airline ticket prices have
dropped.
But of course, the general principle is that if you buy ahead of time and the longer the schedule is, you get a better price than if you buy it very late.
Let's address this. NDC is fond of comparing apples with pear. When they're talking about exchange rate, they use 2022 exchange rate instead of the December or January 2025 when we left power. When they are talking about cement and iron rods, they'll go and use 2022 instead of the 2024 December and January when we left. The same thing he's doing with this flight ticket. He's checking with buying ahead of time with our time when you buy on spot price.
Oh, so you know the difference now. I'm giving you, so you know the difference.
Wait. So
when you are talking, tell about the difference. When you were bringing your submission, so don't also tell about the difference. Which one you want. I'm bringing it out. I have it. Don't worry.
I've always spoken about the difference. I compare apples and apples and pears.
I also compare tomatoes and tomatoes.
When I'm talking about prices going up,
we're trying to compare.
In the line of business that we are in, sometimes it's impossible to plan ahead this 3 weeks, 1 month that he's talking about. So I have always purchased tickets
at the last minute.
1 week. That's the maximum. Normally it's within a couple of days, right? And I have seen it increase drastically when you compare 2024 with now. And you are talking about buying ticket 1 month.
So when was the last time you did travel, locally?
Oh, the last time I went to Kumasi by flight, I think it's about 2 weeks.
Which of who should I send it to? This is it.
And he's talking about buying it ahead of time. Of course, if you buy it ahead of time, it will be around 1,000 something. But back then, how much was it when you buy it ahead of time? I am talking about the same principles that I used then and now. And it is a fact that taxes has been added to ticket prices. It's a fact. Is that too a lie? Has 100 cedis not been added, I think, for airport development fees? And the flights, the airport tax that you pay has been increased from 5 cedis to 100 cedis. So there are two components that have been added to your, domestic ticket price. Now, let's even assume that the prices are the same. If there's a windfall for the Ghanaian people, why should government take advantage of it and put almost 200 cedis on top of the flight? Why should that not go into the Ghanaian, the average Ghanaian's pocket if there is a windfall? But that is not even the case. And is it not the case? Is it not the case? But we've concluded on this, is that you bought it about 1 month ahead of time.
No, 1 month. I bought it 6 days ahead of time.
Anyway, everybody buying ticket knows that when you are going from Kumasi to Accra, the ticket price has increased. And it's also a fact that since the 1st of April, almost 200 cedis have been added to your ticket by way of the airport development fees and the airport taxes that has increased from 5 cedis to 100 cedis. These are facts.
And the airport development that you have said, they're giving you reason why they are adding it. So there was reason.
There's a reason for everything.
They don't let us add it to the government. There was a reason. Okay, sorry.
There is no single tax that has been introduced anywhere in the world that there has not been a reason.
Or even e-levy, there was a reason.
Exactly. So there's a reason for everything.
Even e-levy, there was a reason.
Exactly. You are saying there's a reason. So I'm saying that the fact that there's a reason doesn't make it right.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. You can make all sorts of reasons for everything that you want to do. But the fact remains is that the Ghanaian is not benefiting from what the windfall is supposed to be by way of this additional taxes that has been added to your flight ticket. And not only your flight ticket, it's also verified that VIP has increased from 120 to 150 from Kumasi to Accra. And all the other, routes has been increased as well. So you can't come and sit here and say that somebody is lying or whatever. It's a verifiable fact. Every single person can verify this, that VIP has increased.
What about STC?
I don't have the STC prices. I only have the VIP prices.
VIP, the owners.
People are not patronizing, your own.
No, let me be honest.
That's saying we know the owners of the VVIP, so we know why they are increasing it. STC is giving them good buses, good services, and it is very easy and very cheap. And that is why we all go.
So STC has not increased prices since 2024?
No.
They have not.
No.
They have.
When was the last time you went there? No, when was the last time? No, give me, please. When was the last time you went there?
No, but Abdulai is stating categorically that they
how did you state it?
I mean, as I sit here, I haven't traveled via STC in a while. I would not have
I've traveled via Passion and Hour.
Okay.
So I have facts on Passion and Hour.
So then you're not accurate when you tell us that STC have not increased prices in the last.
Prices.
No, I'm just saying.
But no, I'm not accurate.
If he doesn't even have it, if he doesn't even have it, you cannot tell us here on the show that STC have not increased prices over the last 2 or 3 years.
No, I've not seen it. I don't know when they do. But
I prefer that to a categorical no.
But the truth is that
when you ask me STC, I said I don't know. I haven't checked STC. Is that not what I said?
But so you can't compare VVIP that is being managed by private people. That we know the owners of VVIP. We know the owners of VVIP.
So you are sitting here.
We know the owners of VVIP.
Who are the owners of VVIP? And what does it?
We know the owners of VVIP.
And what does it have to do with price increases?
I said we know the owners.
Okay, but does that have anything to do with the price increases we're talking about?
No, maybe that's
the ownership structure determine price?
Oh yes,
Let's verify this.
Oh yes.
So is it telling us that the owners of VVIP have increased the prices deliberately to make government on?
I never said that. I never said.
So what has the ownership got to do with anything?
That's what I'm saying. That's my submission. I said we know the owners.
And so what?
What has that got to do with anything? You have to tell us. Abdulai, no, you have to tell us.
When I get the time, I will tell you. So
I've given you the chance. Tell us now.
I'm doing my research.
You are not doing your research. You see, you are not doing your research.
But there have been a lot of increase actually, because in 2024. Accra to Kumasi was between 85 cedis.
And when you say they, who do we mean? Do we mean STC or VVIP?
STC.
Okay. Now the STC prices are coming.
It's been from 85 cedis to 120 in 2024, and currently it is from 240 to 270.
Which particular route is that?
That is Accra
Kumasi. Is it back?
Accra Kumasi.
Is it?
Okay, so Accra Kumasi, is that a return trip? Okay, I would want to verify before we go ahead. Yeah. We're still here on News Flash on Prime Morning.
I'm doing the checks.
We're zeroing in on the conversation around the the economy and, of course, issues around Ghana exiting a specific program within the IMF and what kind of effect it has generally. Let me just go back to Prof for his final comments on us exiting this program and what we should be looking out for. Generally, Prof, before you go, what are the key things government would want to look out for? I mean, we've also picked a few thoughts from here on the floor, but what generally would you want government to focus on as we hopefully go along these lines for a very, very long time and never return here to this situation?
Thank you very much, Matt. I would want government to focus on what the finance minister has said, that they are moving forward to employment and creating jobs for the youth. Government should focus on this key agenda of the big push. The 24-hour economy has been a lip service for a very long time. And we have heard issues about 24-hour market being constructed around the country. For me, that is a wrong priority set out by government to construct new markets when we already have existing markets that are available, and they can restructure this market and let them start working. And so government should not refocus its agenda. They did not tell us that when they come to power, they are going to construct 24-hour market. They talk about 24-hour economy. And the 24-hour economy, some sectors of the country are implementing this. But these are not the real sectors of the economy as I have pointed out earlier. The real sector should start benefiting from the 24-hour economy. 24-hour economy is driven by entertainment. Now, do you agree with me? Entertainment drives a lot of the 24-hour economy when we want it to flourish. Let us focus our attention on those areas. When we do that, we will drive the needed growth and employment we want to create. But where we divert our attention from real policies, then there is a worry for us. And that is where the policy coordination instrument entered. Is a joy for me. It's a smart move by government to ensure that they have an oversight responsibility so that they will not be real from the real policy they have put out during the election period and the agreement with the IMF.
Very well, very well. Thank you very much, Prof. Siriam Kawo. He is an associate professor of finance at the University of Cape Coast School of Business, bringing his perspective to the conversation this morning. And that makes us zoom in on... Yes. So we have to do corrections and immediately... yes.
On STC.
Abdulai, I was...
spoke on the top stick.
Yes.
Let me just tell him. If you watch STC, this is STC. From Accra to Kumasi, it's 120 cities, not 250 cities. That is a fact.
Is it 120
from their website?
This is their website, 120 cities.
It's 150 cities. Check anyway.
4-hour trip, 120 cities. Their website.
A return trip or a one-way trip?
One-way trip, 120 cities.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
So a return trip is supposed to be 240.
The 250 cities I mentioned was for Tamale.
Exactly. So the fact is, from Accra to Kumasi on STC is 120 cities.
And of course, in terms of road transport, Accra Kumasi is one of the highest, highest in terms of
how is VIP and all that taken?
In terms of
I don't take VIP, I take state transport. It is safe, reliable, and efficient.
Very well, but you don't. When you're doing your analysis, you also have to look at the other options because we're looking at the mass.
We have choices.
Yes, of course.
No,
but
we have choices.
But of course, you need to spread.
We have choices.
Yeah, you cannot just focus on one
I know.
and tell us that
the best choice now is STC. Very efficient.
Because of the owners?
Very efficient.
Because of the owners?
Oh yeah, the owners are Ghanaians.
Who are the owners?
We sitting here are the owners of STC. So we have to be proud and we have to push STC. And that is why STC is reliable, affordable, and efficient.
And if I also want to travel by VIP as well?
Also you value added tax.
Gentlemen,
but in all seriousness, I think what Abdulai is doing is dangerous.
Oh, why?
You can't malign a private business.
No, I'm not maligning. No, relax.
It's not nice.
Relax.
Especially,
boss,
then I think, come on.
No,
you can't do that to them.
Relax.
Look at the prices here. It's the same. VIP is also charging the same thing.
So relax.
For executive coach, this is from VIP fares. Okay, so this is not from a website. I have it, written out.
They just type it for him. Yeah.
So no, I'm just being, I'm just specifying. So executive coach Accra Kumasi VIP is 150 Ghana cedis.
STC is 120.
And then standard tour. Hold on. Standard tour is 120.
Okay.
And so it's issues of comfort, issues of reliability that you're talking about, and all of that.
But
so if you want the more comfortable option,
encourage STC because it is our own.
Yes, but there's 120 here as well, and it's just on the lane, the same lane in the geographical area around Circle.
And you see, the fact is, even if we were all
so what we have to do is that before we go for the KK party in his house, with the shit-all, we have to travel between Accra and Kumasi. Yeah. But we'll do VIP first, and then we'll do STC and compare the service.
So when we compare, the efficiency is far different, far big.
If we were in 2024, and Abdullah will be saying we should rather use VIP, not STC.
Oh no, I always champion Ghana. Ghana first.
Fine.
Oh yes.
For me, I will encourage people to take STC. No two ways about it.
Thank you.
It's a state-owned company. It's the same way I encourage people to buy from Goy. I mean, that's no two ways about it. But it's
I know you to be a good citizen.
It's also the case
no doubt about
that it is not possible for everybody to take STC.
Oh yes.
They don't even have the capacity to haul everybody, on that route. So definitely people will be also using other, services as well. And for Ghana to grow, we have to encourage private participation in all this.
Oh, yes.
So that is why I'm a bit, taken aback when the government spokesperson is maligning a private.
I am not doing that. No, don't use that.
You know, so pull that one.
No, you see, the truth is that. The truth is that I will not. I say I will not do that because for me personally, I'm a private business person, which I understand where he's coming from. But the truth is that I will not choose private company over government company.
I'm not saying choose them.
That one is 100%. That is it.
No, what I'm saying.
Okay, so these are all personal choices.
I think I have to let Bawumia or Excellency Bawumia knows that in his coming if he comes back in 2067, if Ghanaians give him opportunity to become
will he even be alive in
a DC or an MC, then he should allow our brother to be his maybe transport minister. DC or MMC, how can he choose who is the DC?
We are now reducing.
But Abdulai, you are saying that MPP is coming back to power. You have said that clearly.
2063, I use the word, please.
2063 or 67?
2063.
63?
Yes.
Okay, but MPP will come back to power.
2063.
In 2063.
Exactly.
All right. All right. But gentlemen, these transport companies run on fuel. Our vehicles run on fuel. Our industries run on fuel. And fuel is a very, very critical element of what we're doing, when it comes to an economy. And it's a very, very essential component. Now, let me read this story on myjoyonline.com. It says fuel prices go up significantly from May 16 despite extension of government intervention. Now, prices of petroleum products are expected to increase significantly from May 16, 2026. Now, this is according to the pricing outlook released on May 15 by the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies and seen by Joy Business. Now, based on data picked up from the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, petrol is expected to be increased from between 5.29% to 7.30%. Also, this could result in a litre selling at 15.42. Diesel, on the other hand, could go up by as much as 7.30%, resulting in a litre selling at 17.83%. LPG is also expected to increase by 3%, resulting in a kilogram selling at 17.10%. Now, these projections are based on oil marketing firms that purchase products on credit from various bulk oil distributors. Now, according to the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, the increase has been influenced by higher international market prices and recent pressure on the Ghana cedi. All right, so let's quickly take a look at this element of the report as well. It says, for instance, the cedi depreciated slightly against major trading currency. For the May 16 pricing window, the cedi moved from 11.2057 cedis to 11.3133 per US dollar, representing a 0.95% dip. Okay, so there we are. We're expecting increases at the pumps from today. I mean, government put in a certain cushion. We discussed this last week. Government put in a certain cushion, but here we are again. It's a cycle, and it's a natural cycle, if I may put it that way, because the controlling forces are external, and so there's not much we can do sometimes about it, irrespective of some of the measures to cushion that we put in place.
Is it me?
Yes.
Nyanto, it's been this fuel industry thing has been an issue that over the years. If you ask me, I have said that it is very wrong for anybody to try and do politics with this fuel issue. Because when you go to the pump, it does not have the color of NDC or NPP. It only has, if it's PMX, it has that color that comes out. If it is diesel, it has its own color. It has nothing to do with NDC and NPP. And if you look at this industry critically, you will understand that a lot of these products, we do not even refine them here in Ghana. AGO, automotive gas oil, is always brought in by a private individual who thinks he has a license to operate a BDC or oil marketing company, and he brings in his own product. And when he brings it in, I think the price as of last 2 weeks, a metric ton of AGO was $620 per metric ton. As of yesterday, I was in contact with one NNPC guy, and it's virtually $680.
From $620?
Yes.
Okay.
You see, and even with the
So this then goes to amplify the call for strengthening our manufacturing base and our industry base, because if we are doing value addition here, then we cut off, some of these excesses which result in the pressure on our pricing.
Exactly, because for a refinery like Dangote, they sell even at 700 within the African market. Okay, and so anybody that would, if it's Abdullah that is buying, if it's Nana that is going to buy, and I bring it in, government, what can the government do about it? Because I will charter my own vessel, bring in my product, and even before I even put it into a tank farm, I need to have a contract with either Tor or Santo or whatever, wherever tank farm I'm putting it in. You see, and so sometimes the private sector has a hold on this industry that government cannot say a word about. So if you are a player in the industry and you know how things go about with this industry, sometimes when people sit down there and then they play politics, I laugh. Okay? Because one, government will say, I have come up with intervention. I think it was 2 cities that of taxes have been taken out. Yet, the price on the world market is going up.
Kwaku, point well made. Time is not our best friend right now. We need to just wrap things up. But let me come to you, Kwame. Kwaku is making a point about you, the politicians, the people of specific colors, that when these kinds of issues come up, you always wear the political coat and, run away from what the real issues are. That's the thing. Now, we're here. An intervention was made, but unfortunately, movements within, the external space are resulting in this particular situation.
All right, yeah, I think I'll side with Kwaku on this, and I think we should do less politics with, the fuel prices at the pump. And I think years and years now, we've been talking about adding more value, to oil in Ghana, to ensure that we can reduce the cost of fuel at the pump. And I think some things are being done, by the previous administration, and were done to, improve that. But we are a long way out. But aside that, there are also certain components within the fuel, price that government controls, that I think government should also look at and then reduce the prices. And yes, whilst we are talking about reducing the politicization of fuel prices, I can also not act as if it has not been done. And indeed, that was one of the key things that our opponents, were pointing out when we were in government, and we kept telling them not to do. But they continue to do it, And I was taken aback that people that were so passionate about the fuel prices at the pump, that when the Ghanaian people were getting a windfall of the fuel at the pump, they had to go and introduce the D-levy, which I think was insensitive and which I think should be abolished straight away.
Okay.
If Ghanaians are getting the shortfall, let Ghanaians enjoy the shortfall so that in hard times they can appreciate the hard time, right? And even if you look at the fuel prices, right, the build-up, if you look at the fact that, yes, Forex plays a role, right? But there were instances in the past where the Forex were higher, where the crude oil were higher, but the prices were lower than we are experiencing now. So these are the things that I think we have to look at.
Very well. Kwame, thank you very much. Let's give you the final word.
My brother, I just want to remind, I'm not doing politics, but I just want to remind, this is Graphic Business Online, which is 1st November 2022. He said, fuel price overtakes minimum wage first in history. First in the history of Ghana, where in their era, fuel price was even higher than the minimum wage. Today, what is the minimum wage? The minimum wage today is 21 cedis, 77 pesos. That is the minimum wage. How much is the fuel? How much was it? 15 cedis. So this is a vast difference. And look, in the era that we are enjoying this, it's the same era that we have low inflation, which we took from 23 to 3.4. Food inflation from 25% to 2.2%. Exchange rate from 14 cedis to 11 cedis. And we have BOG monetary policy, which is 29% in their era, and today it is 21%. Annual GDP growth of 5.7%, and today it is 7%. Ghanaians are happy. This is the Israel we want to go. So the Egyptian that you see yesterday on their era, they will see us no more. Ghanaians
you are still playing politics with this.
It's not politics. Ghanaians are happy. No, Ghanaians are happy. This is not politics. See, Excellency John Drummond Mahama. Oh, which more? Under your era, we were paying. See, you see, Ghanaians are not forgot to look. This is it.
17.
When was this?
When
was this?
If your camera can capture
When
it,
was this?
we were buying for at 17 cedis, 99 pesos.
When was this?
This is
How long
23 cedis,
was it?
49 pesos. This is how we were buying it. Today you are saying it is expensive. It is not expensive. Inflation is down.
This is November 2022.
Exactly. Where our fuel price was
I go to the pump. Abdulai, I'm going to the pump. There's been an increase, and you are telling me
there has not been an increase.
November 2020.
Look, how much increase are you talking about? Let's face reality.
November 2020. The world market price was 800 per metric ton.
Says who?
November 2020.
Says who?
Listen, this is my industry.
Which industry? You think it's not our industry?
In this industry.
How much is the barrel today? How much is the barrel today? And how much are we paying? You think our own neighbor Nigeria, our own neighbor South Africa, stop it. Our own neighbor South Africa are paying higher than us. What are you talking about?
Yes, so Kweku says you people should listen to them.
No, he is not being truthful to us. The truth of the fact is that the world barrel
play politics with this.
We are playing with it. We are enjoying the better Ghana. We are talking about
price increase.
When your
gentlemen,
your fuel price was higher, you are telling us
that's it. We'll book it. Your microphones are off now. Your microphones are off now. Thank you all very much for staying with us here. More is coming up on the show, and I'd like to specifically say thank you to Abdulai Sakra Alhassan. He is a government communicator representing the ruling NDC, and of course, Kweku Dubahin. He is with the Accountability Initiative, and he brought his perspective to the conversation as well. And of course, Kwame Prempeh is a former deputy CEO of the Public Procurement Authority, PPA. All right, let's remind you about a very kind gesture that all of you contributed to. And today, the Multimedia Group Limited sincerely thanks everyone who supported 5-year-old Miguel in Tifos through prayers, donations, and kind messages. As Miguel prepares for this second critical surgery, we kindly encourage the public to continue supporting his treatment in any way possible. Every contribution can surely make a difference in his recovery. Together, we can help Miguel through this very difficult time. Florence Ahodagbe visited and has filed this report.
Are you sure dog is a non-living thing? No. Yes, example. Chairs, clap for her.
In this classroom at Blessed Little Angels School, 5-year-old Miguel in Tifo has not been in school for the past 2 months.
Dog, no.
Now, instead of running around with friends or learning in class, Miguel spends most of his days at home. Walking has become difficult. Sometimes he struggles to keep his balance. Miguel's mother, Joyce Donko, says it all started with complaints of headache after school one Friday.
Friday, a week, Nancy's match time. Office school by no sima miti mamiti ti e mami e quadros to pay pale ade man. The complaint was a Friday, no. Saturday, Sunday, Monday no because school no sorry na pa na nimnya peja daddy e dey na ye o Papa son open was so about my son. That is there no. Na me was school any more we meton wadi. Na mother suma mum me friends. Me get by down no da me ni nya wo. Some more dey am for no hospital. madam mama me too me shop na aduane kura wo training nya bi wo no say me too na me de no ko offense hospital bi wo otebi krom na me de no ko.
At the hospital, doctors ordered scans. The results revealed a dangerous condition, fluid building up inside Miguel's brain. Doctors later explained a tumor growing at the back part of his brain was blocking the normal flow of fluid and creating pressure inside his head. The first surgery was to drain the dangerous fluid from Miguel's brain and reduce the pressure. But the cost was overwhelming.
See, surgery is 200 million. 200 million. 100 million basa. No, say me count some sadam. Papa ni jina wa yedi. Na manadi. Eye easy. Me flow away. Just my bobo. Eduane mpo mindibi. Na aye ne say osune Bible nko ha. Tais de nudu ye na. Tais de nudu ne mami. Madam, me be. Nenino. We kwese. Udene jina ho a wonjina. Atisa mesesa no. Ena doctor penin no ba say. Maybe I blink to one one a control ni peduana. Wa adwene che say kwa ha. Obekwa. I want a sad no.
The school contributed. Church members also stepped in. Small donations slowly came together.
Yami aduma am suffering pastor by kakran by discussion with my madam. Mami Joyce, yanya bi ason ma yɛ to yensa de me 51 million. Wa no bunko to do me bed na. Pastor me da sati. Friday no. Na ho mefa amofo de no kwai. Me da bed me dan tuntum ne mu. Sa me twa se odembe baba. Ade bechi me nda homrachi 4 o'clock. And I dream me mami anda. And most nampa body if I look 3 o'clock and no family get mami. There umpanu die na what do neighbor. MC cross. Random that was sick.
But for Joyce, the relief did not last long. Miguel now needs a second surgery to remove the tumor itself. And once again, the family is struggling to raise the money needed to save his life. This time, the surgery will cost 53,000 cedis.
No, the mistake one the mistake. Mami na make a fa. Sango pon wa anka amanfo akoma no wambo ma. Make up the mistake wa he. Make up the mistake wa he. Kwa hwa abahi ate dem me ma me ya. Na ma se me atum dem mistake dem yali. Sanka chichi no ma me wo mbo menti bi da. Abu fakati 5 years. 5 years. 5 years old boy. Ade ni yali kakrake. Ti slag off. Obla ma bla. Just obi wa ukokora 106 no ehi ama 10 cd no ehi ama na sasika me bobo ano I consider ben men sasika no.
While other children return home from school every day, Miguel can only watch from a distance. The classroom he loved now feels far away.
His friends sometimes ask of him, they get bored and they miss him too. So sometimes they become bored without him because he's very playful.
For now, Miguel's school bag remains untouched, and the future his mother once imagined for him hangs in uncertainty.
No one boy mammy baby. More bonum so on Jimmy Bayman,
For Joyce Donko, every day has become a race against time, death, and fear. For Miguel, it is a battle to return to the simple life he once knew. School, football, friends, and the dream of growing up to become somebody someday.
Soja. High five. Yeah.
For Joy News, Florence Ahodagbe's reports from Gomwa.
So kudos to Florence for putting together that report. Very, very emotional indeed. This is 52,000 Ghana cedis, and I'm sure that this is just the surgery or surgical element of the cost. And obviously, when these things come up, there is the element of recovery as well, which is also very, very critical. At 5 years, we'd have to pray for him as well, because he's very tender in terms of his body and everything. And this is a surgery you can term as a delicate surgery. So we're looking forward to some more support from all of you. And it's tough indeed. I don't know. It's a tough one.
You watch him saying that he wants to be a military person in future. That should tell you that he's having something to serve Ghana and bring something on board. So I think we should.
At 5 years is already at that tender age. That tells you that this is a brilliant kid.
Yeah, I think for me, this is something that every Ghanaian listening to us or watching us too should also bring. Their account number is there, the Momo account. And if I'm from here, I think I have to support as well personally, because if you watch, last week I traveled to the Eastern region in and out. I saved, I think, 2,004. So I think I will donate a 2,000 Ghana on this particular one.
Thank you so much. We appreciate
it. Side of it, exactly. And I think the Momo number is there in the bank account. Ghanaians should also as well do it. So from here, I will put in my 2,000 Ghana cedis. So that now it is 50,000. Yeah.
Amazing. So 2,000 taken off brings it to 50,000.
What else can we say? We can only but pray, God help, and then prayer alone cannot solve it. We need to also contribute. So please, we are pleading with Ghanaians out there to come to the aid of the young man. We'll also do our bit.
I saw you take out a leaf from your checkbook, so...
Yes, I'm going to give it to her.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, as my brothers are saying, this is something that we should also support. I think, so I'm also going to do my bit, and also donate to the young man to ensure that his life is safe. As he is speaking, you see that there's a lot of life and future in this young man, and hopefully that we will hear in the 20 years, 30 years to come that he has become somebody great. That I believe. So I will do my bit, and I ask everybody watching to also donate the small that they can.
You do your bit from money you've saved from when you were in power, when the economy was good. He says that because the economy is good, he saved 2,000 cedis on the travel. You also saved money because the economy was good during your time, isn't it?
It is strange that when the fuel price has gone up, he's now talking of saving money. I don't know how that mathematics works.
He's confused, so don't worry. I'll give him the magic. I'll tell him the magic.
Some of your messages before we wrap it up this morning on News Flash. Kindly, send us your name as well when you send the messages. Good morning, I'm Okai from Bantama in the Sene West District. Okay, Okai is a regular texter to the show. The government is out here celebrating that Ghana is done with the IMF bailout, even though there is not going to be any additional fund disbursement. However, we are going to be under strict supervision from the IMF for 3 years, subject to the same structural benchmarks and same qualitative and quantitative criteria, just like the Extend Credit Facility Program. We didn't exit the IMF. We just moved from receiving money to orders. For the next 3 years, the IMF will be checking our budgets, our spending, our reforms, and so that we don't go off track. And if you truly fix the economy, you wouldn't need 3 more years of monitoring. This is not independence. This is probation. Okay, thank you very much for that message. All right, this one is from Papa Bisu from Spentex. All right, now, hi bro, this witch hunting narrative is just being pushed by the NPP, especially by their flag bearer Bawumia. Surprises me a lot that judging by the NDC members did then in opposition, suffered in the hands of both Nanado and Bawumia. the Nadu and Bawumia-led past government. Fact is, if you have ever heard the persecution and suffering under previous MPP government, the former PURC boss, Madam Nanaya Ajantwa, to the extent that she even cited Bawumia as the main person behind her ordeal when she was in the hands of the BNI. I just used the lady's case as a typical example because of Bawumia's hypocrisy but there were several others by members of the NDC. Ghanaians just snub the hypocrisy of the MPP. Okay, all right, thank you very much for that message. Let's do some more. Good morning to you. Kudos to the current administration for navigating the IMF exit. However, Ghana's vast resource endowment means external bailouts should be obsolete. This fiscal autonomy requires shifting from external borrowing to rigorous internal accountability. Government must eradicate systemic corruption and unlock sustainable sovereign growth. This is from Aaron Babakun Koko Misa from Latabi Okoshi. Thank you very much. A few more of the messages before we wrap it up. Blueprint is from Isikado Kitan. Now he says, John Mahama and the NDC have failed Ghanaians woefully. They no longer even talk about the 24-hour economy, which was supposed to give birth to the 133 policy. This shows how unwholesome and deceptive their politics has become. We need a total overhaul of the complete change into the 2028 general elections. All right. Some more messages. This is Teacher Kujo in Tepa, Enyinasuso. All right. Tepa Enyinasuso. Thank you very much for the correction. You know, I'm very big on pronunciation of names the proper way. So, yeah. 24-hour economy. We live to see. It's laughable. It's like the Nkokon fly everywhere the guinea fowls hide. It would take people who work under cover of darkness to sustain the 24-hour economy. Do we have enough electricity to operate around the clock? Even Momo vendors are robbed at broad daylight. What would happen to them if they tried to operate after 7 p.m.? Greetings to Asanteman Kuka, Honorable Eric Nanajiman Prempe, MP for Ahafo North. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that one. Another message here. All right, so good morning. This is from K. Frimpong. The whole OSP brouhaha is funny. Okay, let me go over it again. The whole OSP brouhaha is funny. What at all is the NDC afraid of? But on the other hand, I don't pity the man occupying the office. He intentionally twisted the conversation by either arresting the opponents and put some wild allegations to generate unnecessary conversation in the media space and social media. Currently, petrol sells at 40.60, and do you hear anyone talking about fuel increase? How much was petrol when NDC government took over from the MPP? So, is this the reset promised? Electricity prices on a different level, and people are paying twice the amount of electricity they used to buy. The dollar is down, yet it doesn't affect anything in this country. Everything is skyrocketing. All right, thank you for that message. Hadi Ahmed, VP. Good morning, Nathaniel. In fact, NDC communicators must know that Ghanaians are discerning enough to deduce what's happening in the country. In addition, they should be aware that the ordinary Ghanaian is struggling and the cost of living is high. Therefore, we expect them to be truthful and refrain from the disingenuous behavior whenever they are allowed to express their views. Farmers, teachers, nurses, and contractors are in serious distress over the hardship in the country. That's from Abdulai Abdul Razak in Tamale. All right, thank you very much. Ike in Kufudria, he says, please tell the NDC man to say that Ghanaians are happy. It is an insult to our intelligence. No better policy has been rolled out by this current government. Prices are still the same. And for them, it's all about John Mahama. Meanwhile, the only thing we see him doing is launching programs without any implementation of those. We have not seen any improvement under him. Please, cement price never got to 100 cedis under the MPP. Please read why. 17 times we've been in and out of IMF. 17 times we've exited. NDC communicators see this as an achievement. If they are bold enough, they should bring a ball of kenke to the studio. Okay, now the comment about cement reaching 100 cedis. This texter was saying it didn't ever reach 100 cedis under MPP. Well, that is incorrect. That is incorrect. That is incorrect. Kwame Acidity in Ahafo, Achirensuya. Good morning. What significant impact and role does NDC TAIN students or pro-forum play It's more vital than NDC communicators, especially serial callers and texters. Serial callers played a crucial role during the 2024 election. Now that the NDC party has secured political power, they have neglected their party communicators. If care is not taken, we will boycott all the party activities. Big regard to the National Serial Callers Association of NDC, NACSA. Kwame CDC says, you people, you are not taking care of your callers, your serial callers. So, what is
his name?
Kwame Acidity. He said, when you were campaigning, you needed that.
We'll take
Akonsi Garba in Tamale says, good morning, Joy Prime. The shameful arrest of the Bono Afo regional MPP chairman Abronya is disgraceful and an abuse of power. Can any honest person tell me what Abronya said wasn't said by Ablakwa, Sam George, Felix Kwacho Fosu, Malik Basintale, Sami Jemfi, and other communicators in opposition? The NDC administration should rather focus their energies on implementing their broken promises to Ghanaians and stop the needless arrest of opposition members. Regards to Alhaji Dr. Bawumia. All right. Good morning, Nat. I'm wondering why this government is happy to exit the IMF, as if it was the first time we're going out of IMF. Of course, it's a similar thing that happened under MPP, but we later went back to them when the global economy was at its knee due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, causing disruptions in major supply of oil and grains. So I'll urge this incompetent government to hasten slowly. Nana Ikwama Boateng, Ablekuma Central, aka Dr. Bawumia, will be president in 2028. Okay. Mr. Atto, I was deeply hurt by the minority. Mr. Atto, I was deeply hurt that the minority leader didn't release a tag. We will come for you to account for his or her rulings to the circuit court judge in his news conference yesterday. That is the only language the people will understand and use in the due process in their works and refuse temptation of the Jubilee House. Nixon Ishan, incoming Tema East Constituency Communication Officer of the MPP. All right. Okay. Good morning, Mr. Host. You are point-blank biased. Why don't you ask questions to someone when someone else is talking? You are embarrassing the MPP person so badly. Wise man in Mankasim. Okay. So the MPP man himself is here and he's smiling at this. So I beg you, I don't do any of that. Thank you very much. I'll have a final one. Meshak Asante Amasamang, beg your pardon, says, so many people are crying over arrest of their members. They haven't seen anything yet. They are now coming to witness more arrests since they haven't stopped misbehaving. Have they forgotten what they did to lawyer Sami Jemfi, Bobi Ansa, Mensa Thompson, Captain Smart, and Oheniba Buama, Benny, and others, and other NDC leaders, to the extent that they were summoned before the late former President Rawlings before the Reconciliation Commission in 2004? Or do they see themselves as more humans than others? Better keep quiet before we get more angry. Meshak Asante in Amasamang. All right, so this is Roxton inside Kumasi. I bought a litre of petrol for 14.60 cedis from Gwal yesterday. Tell the NDC man to stop provoking Ghanaians and tell the government to consider prices. Okay, thank you very much for that. All right, thank you very much for being here with us on News Flash. More analysis coming up on tomorrow's edition of the show. Thanks to you, gentlemen, for being a part of the show as well.